Is it recording?
It's
Yes.
recording now. Welcome, Phil.
Hello. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's have you been rejuvenated?
No, I'm scared shitless. I don't know. I mean, everything points to a big change, but you never know what these people are going to do. I mean, it's just. I mean, last night, for example, the debate, right? So Trump wasn't unhinged.
Hold it for a minute. We're now we're talking. This is October 23rd, the day
Oh,
after the second debate.
okay.
Take over,
This
Phil.
the second debate. Well, it's actually the third debate, but it's the second actual debate. Trump chickened out of the second debate,
Hmm.
and the first debate he was unhinged. So last night, so everybody says, well, he did better. No, he didn't. He fucking lied every line he said, and he interrupted Kristen Welker constantly. He kept talking when he was supposed to shut up. She didn't mute the microphone enough. So he went from unhinged to flat rude. To me, that's not an improvement. It's a lateral motion. It's just lateral.
Well, I
He's
hate to
rude.
say, for my thing, he was calm. It looked like he was under tranquilizers.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
For him,
what's his name? Michael Steele. One of them said they wonder what drugs he took. I think it was John Heilman said. I'm putting some light on me.
yeah, put some light on the subject.
Anyway, so so Joe Biden, and I'll tell you one of the tells that nobody talked about at all. Here's a Phil Margo special. Trump did not look into the camera once during that whole debate. He didn't talk to the people. I'm looking at you, looking at your eyes. I'm looking straight at you now. He never looked in the
Okay.
camera. Biden said, I'm Joe Biden. I'm going to be president of everybody. There's no red and blue states. There were the United States of America, which is something that Barack Obama said when he was a senator. And how anyone can vote for that man under the circumstances. He's ramming through a fucking milkmaid who 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 has no business being on the Supreme Court. She doesn't have any business being on any court at all. She should be giving tests to the people who want to join the Federalist Society. I mean, she won't answer a question. She is obviously going to wipe out Roe versus Wade, and she's going to obviously wipe out the ACA. 135 million people are going to be screwed. And then he started the pre-existing condition. Trump made everybody have a pre-existing condition, or 7 million people now have a pre-existing condition, including him, but he gets health care because he was fucking president. So what do you think? And I'm scared shitless. And I know the polls look great, and I know, and Obama was marvelous. He was marvelous. He said all the things that I would love to tell Trump, and I'm sure Trump saw it, and Trump looked scared shitless. He really did. He looked scared. He looked absolutely
Well, I don't
scared.
know if from my things he didn't look scared,
What?
but yeah, I don't think he looked scared, but he did.
He looked
It
scared.
certainly was more mellow.
Mello was bullshit. They said he's a scumbag. He's a bully. He's a
Well, but
lousy president. There's nothing. He has no redeeming value, whatever.
how,
None.
how do you think that the debate went? You know, when you think he brought any salient points up, or did Biden?
You
You know,
know, it's my understanding that when you debate, you have to have one thing on your side: truth. You can't lie in a debate. You have to talk about facts. When you debate somebody, you have to talk about facts. He lied about everything. He stood up there and lied about everything, about COVID, about he accused Biden of getting $3 million. I mean, the stuff he said was insane, and everyone that ever looked into it, also with Hillary's emails and also Benghazi, he brought up Benghazi again, and All of that was proven by investigations of Republicans, House members and Republican people and Republican law enforcement and Republican FBI members who, who I'm sure there's both sides. And everybody said he's not guilty of anything. He didn't do anything wrong in Ukraine. He didn't take any money. He didn't do anything. And Trump still says the same, trots out the same bullshit.
Well, I think the one thing that they haven't disproven or proven was I think the computer thing with the emails are new, is at least
It's
what I
current.
read. But it's new. But the FBI had it since
What the fuck does that
last
have to
year.
do with Joe Biden? This is his son's email. This is his son's computer.
Well,
How do you say anything about Joe Biden?
well, it said
And they found nothing.
it said the big man is going to get 10%, and it's assumed that the big man is Joe Biden and being VP. But that hasn't been proven to be real. As a matter of fact, it was
Trump assumed that the virus would go away when the warm weather happened. How could anyone believe anything that man says?
That's
If
a problem. I
believe
don't.
Trump, you're a fucking moron. You hear me? If you're a Trump voter, you're a fucking moron. I don't care if you have $20 billion. Isn't $20 billion enough? How much money do you need to have? We have a country here. Either it's going to work or not. Millions and millions of Americans throughout history gave their lives so that this country might live, as Lincoln said. They crawled through the dirt. They were shot at on beaches. They were killed by bombs. And what happens? Now we have a guy who's ready to let democracy go away and let people die unlimited. What kind of country do we live in?
Well, you know what I don't understand? Truthfully, it's like so much of the corruption, so much of his personality. People have written books about it, where he told I think it was Mary Trump had in her book that that if his son joined the army, he would disinherit him. If he got out of the Vietnam War because of a heel spur, or so-called heel spur. And normally, in a normal time with normal people voting, this would have been the death knell for him. He would have been through. Aside from the fact of
I could grab their pussy anytime I want.
Yeah, I think there were, and I think there was like
president would have gotten elected under those circumstances.
And I think there were like 22 women who have suits against them for sexual harassment or rape. I don't understand. It's sort of, I'm not disappointed in him. I feel, I'm a New Yorker, so I knew about him. The question is, why do people vote for him? It says something about our country. That because they're thinking, oh yeah, most of the people I speak to is, the 401k. I mean, look what he did. It's increased. The stock market has increased. Yeah, but even if that's true, does that offset his other characteristics? To me, it's not.
First of all, let's get real here. It was never his economy. Barack Obama and Joe Biden took an economy from George W. Bush, which was in the fucking toilet, okay? High unemployment, deficit beyond belief. It took them 8 years, and they had 8 years of constant job growth, 8 solid years of constant job growth to get the economy where they had money. There was a surplus when he turned over the economy. And everything, and the stock market was way up when Obama turned over the economy to Trump, right?
Right.
It was, right. It was. It's a fact. Look it up. These things are facts. He took credit for an economy that wasn't his. Okay, it wasn't his. It was never his economy. It was a fucked up Republican administration that killed the economy by starting a war that was unnecessary, that cost $2 or $3 trillion, all right? And that led to all kinds of horror, except for the wealthy people. So one thing that's going through this all, the wealthy people are doing fine.
They're doing great,
so, and you know why that is? Because they control George W. Bush, and because because Dick Cheney wanted a war. Okay, there was no need for a war for that war. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely absurd in a million ways. And you know how I know this? Because I had the pleasure, I might have told you this, of doing a show in 1994 in Florida where Norman Schwarzkopf was like the guest speaker. Okay, so we shared the green room with him. I have a picture with him. I should find the picture and I
Yeah.
could show you of
We
us
should
standing
post it, yeah.
General Norman Schwarzkopf. And we started talking, and you know me, I'm still a liberal. I'm not a liberal. I'm an American. These people aren't even Americans that vote for Trump. Anyway, and I said, how come you didn't go into Baghdad? What was the reason why he didn't go into Baghdad? You know, after he kicked Saddam out of Kuwait, right? Remember?
Yeah.
And he
That
said
was the first,
that was the 90. Yeah, it was 1991.
right.
Now this is 3 years after that, right? So I said to him, so I said, how come you didn't go to Baghdad? He said, well, first of all, the UN mandate was to kick him out of Kuwait, not to go into Baghdad. We were following the UN mandate. Okay. It wasn't a choice. It was the UN mandate, right? Second, he said, I know from being there that if we went into Baghdad, we would still be in Iraq and still be in the Middle East. And this was in 94. This was 3 years later.
Right.
Well, we're still there because schmucko George W. Bush and putz and a half Dick Cheney decided to have a war, which is totally unnecessary. It was a dick measuring contest.
You mean they didn't have weapons of mass destruction, or that was the other war?
He didn't have it. No, the first war kicking Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait was right. He went into a country
Right,
that he had
right.
no business going into, and the United States had every business to say, "Get the fuck out of there! We're going to blow you up." Okay. First of all, we had financial interest. There was the oil. But the war wasn't made because of our financial interest. It was made because of the financial upper levels interest, because they wanted the oil. We're still doing oil. Why do you think Trump wanted to open up the country so fast?
Well,
Because oil plummeted once people started masking themselves and not traveling and locking themselves, staying home, right? People weren't driving and oil wasn't being burned. And therefore, the oil companies were getting killed. The oil went
yeah.
down to $40 a barrel. They still keep the oil price of oil abnormally high. It shouldn't be what it is now. It's absurd. But at the pump, it's ridiculous. But this is all about oil. It's still about oil.
Well, it's all about money. It's follow the money.
It's more than oil, money. It's oil.
Well, in this case, it's oil.
Companies,
In Trump's case, follow the money, the real estate loans he has from the foreign governments, because he couldn't get loans out from the U.S. governments, from the U.S. bank.
right. But the people who run the world are the people who control the oil. Just look at these countries that have dictators running them. Look at Putin. Where do you think Russia's money comes from? The people are starving. The people are having a lousy life. They can't get good jobs. They're not treated well. I don't know which one of them has health care or not. In Russia, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Putin gets all the oil money, right? He gets the oil money. They subsist because of oil. All of these countries with authoritarian rulers are all countries that have oil.
Well, all the Middle East, aside from poor little.
And so the worst thing that can happen to them is what? The worst thing that can happen to them is we get off oil. And believe me, I have solar on my roof. I drive an electric, an electric car, right?
Yeah, coincidentally, you should tune into the show that I have. It's called the Many Shades of Green, which is about the environment and ecology.
I'm very familiar.
And coincidentally, the co-host of that is your sister, Maxine.
No, I understand that, and I very much believe in what they talk about. And as I said, I have solar on my roof, so my electric bill is way less. I use way less electricity. I don't. I haven't. When I leased the Volt, I have a Chevy Volt. When I leased it 2.5 years ago, they gave me a full tank of gas, which is 9 gallons, right?
And
I
you still
haven't
have it.
used, yeah, because it uses both, but it only burns. I have bought 15 gallons of gas since I bought that car.
Does it cost you to put electricity in at stations? Do they charge?
I have never put electricity in anywhere but my own home.
Your home.
I get a special rate. If I charge the car between 10 at night and 8 in the morning, I pay like 11 cents a kilowatt. Normally it's in the 20s.
So how much is that if you do it the whole night? Do you have to recharge the whole night?
Well, my car. If I had to charge it from being empty, it takes 16 kilowatts.
And how long
So
does
it was
that last you? How many miles?
about 65 miles.
Oh, okay. So they have
So
to build. Yeah.
no, yeah, I haven't bought any gasoline hardly at all because I don't drive that much. We don't go traveling that much.
Yeah.
We have another car that uses gas that Abby has, but we don't really travel by car a lot,
Mhm.
except I do my day-to-day stuff, and it and I like the Volt because it has a gas engine too, so that
Mhm.
you can never get stuck anywhere, because the infrastructure for electric cars that Biden was talking about, he talked about putting charging stations all over the country. We don't have enough charging stations there's just not that many of them.
Yeah, well, supposedly, I think you said China has that. Charging stations on the
Yeah,
freeways, on the
right.
highways.
And, and so now if you use that plus geothermal or solar or other ways of creating electricity, you don't need oil.
Well, that's what they're trying to do with the new Green Deal
Well,
because
I mean, I've done it. I have limited my. If
or the-
everybody did what I did, we would be using half the oil that we use now.
yeah, because aside from being dependent on oil with the Green New Deal, we're talking about what the oil does, the fossil fuels that create the carbon that's killing our planet.
Well,
Well,
it's not just the planet; it's killing.
It,
There's a
it,
huge. There's a huge. Um, there's a huge. What am I trying to say?
I don't
If
know, but
we
I know.
get into this, if we get into using energy that's not oil, like solar or wind or
Yeah.
whatever, it's a huge industry. It could be huge. I mean, there's so many things so many opportunities to create jobs in these new areas. I mean, look, in 1970, there was no computer industry. It was nothing. Who cared?
Mm,
Now it's a multi-trillion-dollar
right.
industry because it was a new idea and it served a purpose. Like we're talking, look at this. I mean, luckily people have this now, uh, that we can talk to each other, and we can see our kids get bat mitzvahed. Like we're having one tomorrow for my granddaughter here at my house, and it's going to be on Zoom. If you want to, I'll send you the.
All right, send me a link.
I'll put you on the list. But and so that was the new industry. There was nothing before it. You know what I mean? Oil has been around for well over 100 years. What is it? The late 18, almost 150 years. People have been using oil first for lanterns, to light,
Yeah.
light. But then the automobile was invented, and the gasoline engine was invented, and airplanes and all of that. And during the time of this kind of virus, when the nation shut down, oil was not being used.
We haven't been
And that
driving.
scared the bejabbers out of the oil industry. And so they, I'm sure, forced the president to say, we have to open our schools, we have to open up, we have to open up. And what did it? 70,000 new cases yesterday. The highest amount we've had, 70,000 new cases. And why? Because they opened schools, because they opened bars, because the red state governors refused to tell their states to wear masks, to socially distance, and to not open the schools yet.
Yeah, well, part of it is people are becoming, they're taking more chances because they're tired of not being
Tough
with their
shit.
friends or
Tough
having
shit.
dinner.
Tough shit.
I know, but
Be tired.
because I can see it in my family,
You know why? Well, because if you're tired of it and you don't wear a mask and you go out, you can get somebody else. And
right.
Joe Biden said, great. He said today, love thy neighbor as thyself. All of these Bible toters, these evangelicals, love thy neighbor as thyself. That's what Jesus said. You know, he didn't say thy neighbor is not a good color. He's not white. Jesus wasn't white. They keep depicting Jesus as a white guy. He couldn't be a white guy. He came from the Mideast. How could he be a white guy? They didn't. I mean, you know, how did? I mean, it's unbelievable to me.
Well,
Jesus was not a white guy.
As I said, I always considered Jesus my cousin. Why? Mary and
He is.
Joseph were Orthodox Jews.
Right.
And I think it's
Jesus was a rabbi.
I think it's January 3rd is a holy day of obligation. What it is? It's the day he had his bris, 8 days after he was born.
Right. I know. So you know,
And then I don't know, but I also remember he was
know,
bar mitzvah.
I was once talking to one of the Osmonds. We were doing something at the Osmond Studios in Provo, Utah. I'm doing my show. Oh, thank you.
Is that your wife?
Not at all.
Oh, okay. We were doing we were at the Osmonds doing something with Christy and Jimmy McNichol, who we were in business with for a while back in the 70s. And they started talking to me about Mormon, you know. So I said, okay, how long has your religion been around? And they said, oh, over 100 years. I said, well, mine's been around for 5,700 years. So I think we have a little more experience than you do. And we don't talk about magic plates and serpents, you know. And I said, and we also talk about, we started monotheism, you know, one God instead of a whole bunch of gods. And I said, isn't it interesting that science theorizes that the earth, the universe, the planets, the whole thing started with the Big Bang, which was called a singularity. I said, so God, who created Earth, or the singularity which science theorizes created the universe, are basically similar. You know, it's one created many. Just like God created Adam and Eve and the rest of the human race.
I mean, my big question:
the earth, the sun, and the moon.
What did God do before He created Earth? Who was He God over?
He was a lawyer.
He was a lawyer.
No, I don't know.
Well,
because you know, it's like, where was the universe before it started?
Go ask your rabbi.
All the questions that you could ask about God, you could ask about the scientific theory of the beginning of the universe. All the same question. What do you mean? You mean it was nothing? How could there be nothing? How could nothing exist?
You know the old joke is supposedly like on Christmas Eve, what are the busiest restaurants? The Chinese restaurants with all the Jewish people going. So, I mean, the joke goes, you know, the Jewish calendar, I think we're 5790 or 57 something. And the Chinese calendar, they're only like about 3,000 or 4,000. Those years in between in the Jewish law is known as the Dark Ages. No Chinese food,
the Chinese restaurant. No, we had to get like I don't know, Greek takeout or something. I mean, we went to Babylonia. We went to Babylonia for takeout
Yep,
food.
yeah.
No, I mean the world is so muddled now. I've never seen. I mean, it's not just the United States. There are
Uh,
authoritarian governments blossoming all over, and there are authoritarian leaders in countries that there shouldn't be, and they don't serve their people.
Well,
They're not.
as I was
And
talking on my other show, God's biggest mistake is, why did he give people free will? Because we fuck up so much. Uh, when I was younger, when I was hearing, I mean, one of my favorite songs, it still is in a way, was John Lennon's Imagine. Imagine all the people without governments, without, we would all be free, we would all be loved, and we'd all give out flowers. But that's not true. If you take away government from certain countries, certain areas, there's civil war. It's one group is fighting against the other. It's a